Thank you very much. I'm Canadian. We do understatement. So you just have to take everything I say and multiply it by 100, and that will translate it into Americanese. Just for an example, when I'm in Canada, I'm 79. As soon as I cross the border, I'm 7,900, and I know everything. So thank you very much for this wonderful honor. And I'm having the same problem with the lights. Never mind. And thank you to Bruce Miller and Warren Littlefield, who have been so key to this astounding journey of The Handmaid's Tale. It's unfortunate that many are viewing it now not as fiction, but as a guide to reality. It is part of the mandate of equality now to make The Handmaid's Tale fiction again. I am, of course, not a real activist. I am simply a writer without a job. He was frequently asked to speak about subjects that would get people with jobs fired if they themselves spoke. You, however, at Equality Now, are real activists. This is what you do all day and have been doing since the early 1980s. I'm constantly astonished that you are able to keep on doing it, because fighting on behalf of women internationally can be very discouraging. A great many people are against you, since the way things have been since the early Bronze Age suits them very well. I say since the early Bronze Age, since it's about then that gender inequality and the downgrading of women seems really to have kicked in, at least in the Mediterranean area, for reasons not unconnected with the growing of wheat and the need for many workers to grow it, and of the rise of large-scale territory-acquiring armies dependent on a food surplus such as wheat. You get the picture. Bread was not our friend. Gluten worries aside, this is a very important moment for an organization such as Equality Now. Just recently, right here in the United States, in Ohio, the Republican lawmakers moved to make, quotes, motherhood, as they call it, quotes, mandatory, as they also call it, and to criminalize miscarriages and make fertilized eggs persons under the law. This is going to give rise to a whole new genre of murder mysteries. The communist Romanian dictator Ceausescu tried this in the 1960s. He passed a decree that made pregnancy a state policy. The fetus is the property of the entire society, Ceausescu proclaimed. Anyone who avoids having children is a deserter who abandons the laws of national continuity. 4 babies was the required goal. The means included enforced monthly examinations to see if you were pregnant, and if you were not, why not? The prohibition of birth control information and the prosecution of miscarriages. The result was a soaring infant mortality rate, a rash of maternal deaths, and orphanages stuffed with unwanted children. No support was given to expectant mothers, and none to help them care for and raise these children. There is a situation in which the state requisitions male bodies. It's called the draft. If you are compelled to enter the army, you're supposed to be given food, lodging, clothing, medical care, and pay. Mandating pregnancy in women is also a requisitioning of your body by the state. But is Ohio offering to cover women's medical care, food, lodging, and clothing while their bodies are being used for state purposes? Do they intend to pay for this service to the state? I don't think so. Enforced pregnancy is a form of slavery, and it is time it should be recognized as such. Instead, Ohio Republicans would like to make this kind of slavery the law, just like the communist dictator Ceausescu. Equality Now knows that when laws are unequal, those on the lower end get treated worse, not just by the law, but by everyone in the society. Inequality increases abuse. That's why Equality Now focuses on just and equitable laws. It knows that in the Universal Declaration of human rights are women's rights. It also knows that individual countries need to overhaul their systems, not only to write just laws, but to enact and enforce them. Equal treatment under the law encourages equal treatment everywhere else in the society. Breaking old habits is hard, as Equality Now knows, but it is not impossible, as Equality Now also knows. It's an amazing organization, and it has been amazingly tenacious. I am proud to be here among you. Multiply by 100. When I was growing up in northern Canada, I was never told by my family that there were things I could not do because I was a girl. Instead, I was told, by my father no less, "You were given a brain, use it." Lucky old me. Sometimes I feel I'm from outer space because my experience has not been the norm for so many women and girls. I hope people will give Equality Now lots and lots of money today so they can write equal laws, enact equal laws, and see that equal laws are implemented. That way, in time, all girls may be able to grow up believing that there are no avenues that are closed to them simply because they are girls. Thank you.